Hello everybody, it's been a minute, so we decided we need to bring back another video, so let's get to it. Is the internet right about splitter end plates? Suddenly I've been seeing a whole bunch pop up on the offerings in the Google shop and all that stuff of various kinds of very complicated looking splitter end plates. What are they worth a damn? Should you buy them? Should you even look at them? Should you run out and grab them all? And what we're going to do today is we're going to test them. So we're going to test what I call fancy splitter end plates, which I'm going to jump over to here to show you guys what I mean by fancy. So here's the example of the current offerings, just by typing splitter end plates. And to be totally honest, now these are the sport offerings. That's almost exactly what we built. And I didn't know that splitter end plate existed until I made this video and I just typed that in. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Are these, various kinds of splitter end plates worth a damn? Should you get them? Let's find out. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So this is the test. It is a, it's basically what these things are is a vortex generating splitter end plate. So it's got a curve on it in the on the outside of the splitter end plate. It balloons in the rear, and what happens is that air trips over this top line, nabs this air that's being accelerated out of this venturi, out of this like tube that gets bigger, and then they grab together and they spin, right? So that's kind of the idea of how these splitter end plates work. Now, why the hell would you want the air to be spinning? I'm going to jump over here to an example of the Y250 Formula One aerodynamic vortice. So what this vortice does is it creates a boundary layer of fast-moving spinning air away from your tire, right? Because tires are very dirty. Hold on. So right here, you're wondering why everybody doesn't have a carbon fiber tire. And I do. So basically what happens is when air hits this thing, smacks it like that, it'll actually flow around till about here, and then after that it's an absolute mess because you got this spinning tire, you got brake air coming out this way, you got brake air getting jammed in this way, you got everything spinning and churning up. That the air coming off of this tire, the backside of this tire, is so useless that you can't use it, right? As an aerodynamic guy, we know that the tires are super dirty and we got to do everything in our power to avoid it. So that's where these vortex come in. You basically make a vortex with some spinning air, and you can seal off the floor. So there's a really good example of the Y250. Now, I've seen these kinds of splitter end plates used on wings on Indy cars, which I'm going to throw some B-roll in right now. And basically what those cars were doing was that the wing was only allowed to be as wide as the space between the front tires. So they created a vortex on those end plates, so that way it could protect the floor and make the floor work, because that's a formula car. Like that's how formula cars get all their downforces, by generating downforce on the floor. Now our problem is, should we be putting these things on, these Formula One-esque parts or IndyCar-esque parts on GT cars? Because you as a club racer running your grid life and your NASA, you have a fender, you have covering that tire. So we don't have the messy tire nearly as bad as the other cars do, and this is sitting on the outside of the tire, so it's not going to seal it. So what benefit does it have for us? Why are these popping up all of a sudden? So let's just jump right into the test and go for it. So this is our CFD runs. We use TotalSim is our preferred CFD server of choice. They are a CFD service founded by a Formula One, ex-Formula One aerodynamicist. So you're not going to get any better CFD software than running this. Then I'll just say that whatever they do is going to be more accurate than some kid trying to get his calibrations right. It's just, it's just kind of be the way it is. So one first thing that I found interesting was our drag, or it was just our drag attachments, right? And of course, Caleb sends messages in the middle of the videos, and so basically what we got here, we run our run without anything on it. So this was our previous run with the strafes. Then we're going to add our what I call the fancy splitter end plates. And you kind of flip back and forth here. You can kind of see this air. So all this red is detached air. So that's the air that's hit something and then now is not attached to the car anymore. You know, you got it coming off the windows, off the back, off the wing, you know, that kind of stuff. And you can see right here, we have a decent amount of detachment at the front of the car. And I've turned that on, and all of a sudden there's a vortice right there. So there's some detachment going on right at that front of that splitter end plate. And you can see right there a whole bunch of attachment, or a whole bunch of no attachment and attachment as soon as we add those fancy splitter end plates. So that's kind of good news number one. Let's jump to number two. These are just squares, and this could be anything that you could build in your garage at night. You don't need any fancy tools. Just put a little wall on the edge of your splitter. And you can kind of see here, the detachment zone is essentially the same. Actually, it's even better with the standard end plates. So that's something to be considering. So now let's jump into the wings. The wingenards, we call them. Same thing. It's good. Like, the detachment is getting smaller. It seems like it's really helping the air stay attached to the sides of the car. So if you want to do some, you know, exhaust modding or put some, you know, some kind of fancy, you know, side skirts over here, then, you know, that's actually helping the air stay attached as opposed to that. Now, let's see what else we got going on here. I want to jump into the X-ray plots. This is basically top-down view of all of our runs, with as if you were seeing through the car like an X-ray. You can see here, as soon as we add those splitter end plates, that splitter starts. Excuse me, right there. As soon as we add them, that splitter area, like watch this area right here, that splitter area fires up. So right there, there's nothing. The sides of the splitter aren't doing nothing. Boom, purple everywhere. Now it's picked up some downforce right there, right? And boom, picked up some downforce. Now let's go to the regular squares. Almost the same. Like the downforce images and where the downforce is being delivered to is almost identical to that. So yeah, you got nothing. Boom, just the little walls. Now let's jump into the wing itself, or the wingenards. So this is essentially, we just put an entire wing through the front of the car, and it's picked up a whole bunch of downforce on these sides. You can kind of see this little purple area here, right here. You can kind of see, like right there, is kind of like a remnant from when we had no splitter end plates. So I'm kind of thinking that you want to attach that wing to the splitter, and then that would solve that you'd end up picking up even more downforce down here on the wing. So one thing I can point out is when we go from nothing to the wingenards, or to the fancy splitter end plates, the area in the diffuser gets smaller. So you know, splitter end plates, fancy splitter end plates, nothing. Or yeah, where'd it go? Fancy splitter end plate, nothing fancy, nothing fancy, nothing fancy. You're watching that diffuser area get smaller. Also, I'm watching this lift area on the top of the car get bigger. See that? It kind of gets bigger a little bit right there. So it's actually making some lift off the roof. So it's sending more air over the top of the car. It makes the roof make more lift. It's pretty, that's how it goes. So cool. Well, the other thing, jump on our CPZ, check out our undercarb Aero, because that's what these things are supposed to be making better. So we go from nothing, add the fancy splitter end plates, and you can kind of see this area right here gets way bigger. So it gets way bigger right there. So that grows a lot. The corners here start getting a bunch of blue into it. There it is. So that blue starts popping up. Now let's jump to the not fancy. Still good growth. These areas didn't connect, and we are still having a little bit of disconnect here. But you can see from going here to nothing to the fancy, the diffuser area is getting smaller. So it is attacking the diffuser, making the diffuser run less good. And then let's check the wing. The wing actually has the best. It looks like the diffuser area stays the same size between the wing and no splitter end plates. So we're not losing any rear downforce on here. So let's jump into the numbers. Let's figure out exactly what we got going on here. Jump on our baseline. These 4 runs were our runs. I'm going to make this bigger so you can see the numbers, because this is the moment of truth. This is going to tell us everything. So I'm going to select our base run, and I'm going to highlight the not fancy splitter end plates. And you can see here, drag picked up 31 pounds, downforce picked up 17 pounds. So it's a hurt on our lift to drag ratio, which is something that I don't like. But you can kind of see here, front downforce picked up 56 pounds and rear downforce lost 38 pounds. So it ended up losing a decent amount of rear downforce. So if you wanted to shift some balance, forward, splitter end plates are your way to go. But they are draggy, so be careful there. Now let's check out the fancy ones. Downforce only gained 35 pounds. That's kind of similar downforce numbers of like putting a hood vent in. It kind of gets you 35 pounds, but with worse drag. So we got 32 pounds of drag. It's kind of a wash on our lift to drag ratio. You're going to need more power to move this thing the same speed, just because our drag's coming up and our downforce is kind of meh. But here's something I do want to show off. Front downforce gain was 80. Rear downforce loss was 47. So we had the highest rear downforce loss with using those fancy splitter end plates. Front downforce picked up 83, which is a decent amount of shift. I'm going to get into the actual percentages of the shift right after this. And then this run here I selected is the wing, and we have 141 pounds of front downforce total increase, which is not bad. On a car that we kind of have already found the majority of the low-hanging fruit for downforce, here we find 141 pounds, which is not bad at all. Highly, that's good even. As a driver, you'll notice about 8% chance or 8% change. I say about 7. As a pro driver, you're going to feel about 3.5%. Back when we used to have those guys, before they got taken over by stupid rich guys. And I do want to move this because I want to look at balance. So let's go ahead and turn off this little check mark that makes everything relate to the previous post and blah blah blah. All right, so here's our base downforce center of balance was at 42%. I ran that car at 42%. Was pretty happy with it. The front end definitely needed a little bit more downforce. Adding the fancy splitter end plates shifted us to 47.3%, and then adding just regular squares shifted us to 46%. So if you're looking, if you don't want to spend it, it's only a 1% change between the two. If you're looking to get more front bite and shift some balance, throw a little square on the edge of your splitter, because that's the majority of what we got going on here. We picked up a little bit, got a decent amount of shift. There's only a 1% difference in balance between the two. And then here, 50. That's the magic number. We have a 50-50 balanced car. We want to see 50% balance on it. In Aero, boom, magic number right there, 50%. I'm going to try a few more things before I cut up my bumper and stick a wing through the middle of it, but this is promising. This is something I really like to see. So We went from overall total downforce, which was 1477, to 1619 with the wing and yards. So those wing and yards are cranking. Those are some. I'm not gonna ignore those. Those are solid. Those are solid downforce improvements. Going from 1477 to 1513. That's good. That's good. Nothing to shake at your stick at. But doing the same drag with those splitter end plates as the fancy ones, you're only getting. I mean, we're only off by a couple points there. Is it worth it? I mean, let's go ahead and end this video. Is it worth it to buy those? Is it worth it to buy the fancy splitter end plates when all you need to do is, or when the alternative is to go in your garage and put them on? I'm not exactly sold. I'm not sold that they are. They got a lot of downforce shift. They both did. You're talking, how much are these guys? That's 750. These are 375. Am I going to spend that kind of money, to get that shift when I can just, run our $50 splitter end plates or build your own? No, I'm not. I'm gonna stick with those. Yeah, like the vortice and the air getting stuck to the side is its own thing. It's its own thing. If I got some parts down the sides of the car that I want to work, then I'm gonna do that. Otherwise, I don't really see that big of a deal in it. I just don't. So that's the test. That's the run. Stick a wing through the side of your car. That seems to be doing the best. And if you got any questions, concerns, complaints, shoot them in the comments below. Give us a like. It'd be appreciated. And subscribe. We love that. So that's it for me, Johnny at 9 Lives. Call us if you need any issues. If you want some more, if you want CFD done on your own car, shoot me a message. We'll get you fixed up and get you built up. Other than that, that's it for me. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.